Hey everyone. This video is going to be a little bit different in the sense that I'm not going to be playing a game or anything like that. I did say that I didn't want my channel to be entirely gaming, so I'm putting in something that I've been wanting to do for a little while. There's a website called Philosophy Experiments that I don't know how to describe it. It sort of goes through philosophical concepts in an interactive way to an extent. Like, I'll just kind of go through this and show you. It's just pretty cool. It's something I was thinking about doing, just kind of going through this and commentating on it, I suppose. You'll notice I do have my glasses on and I'm beheveled, I think is the word. I just couldn't sleep. So, this one, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. Good amount of them. The one I'm choosing to do right now is called Morality Play, because it's got it compromises a lot of things, and yeah. So in this activity, you'll be presented with 19 different moral scenarios. In each case, we'll be asked to make a judgment about which is morally right and which is morally wrong. When you have answered all the questions, we'll be presented with an analysis of my responses that should reveal some interesting things about my moral framework and such. Yeah, no moral response is considered correct or incorrect. It's all opinionated, subjective. So the first question, and this is really gonna open up my ways of thinking to you all and get you all to either hate or love me. You pass someone on the street who is in severe need, and I am able to help them at little cost to myself. Am I morally obligated to do so? Whenever you see somebody in the street who is homeless or whatnot and needs help, generally the thing that keeps people back from helping them is limited money or time, which in this case it specifies that it's at little cost to myself. So I would say you're strongly obligated to. Personally, I've been known to take a utilitarianistic standpoint in that I believe that it is moral to create the most amount of happiness possible over all parties. I have a brother. I know that somebody has been seriously injured as a result of criminal activity undertaken by him. I live in a country where the police and the legal system are generally trustworthy. Am I morally obligated to inform them about my brother's crime? I don't really... How do I say this? I'm not really a big enforcer of putting family before others. Like, I know it's good to be supportive of family and whatnot, but you still have to treat them like normal people. Like, I'm not going to forgive him just because I have some predetermined bond to my brother. So, am I obligated to inform them about him? Yeah. Assisting the suicide of someone who wants to die and has requested help is morally equivalent to allowing them to die by withholding medical assistance, assuming that the level of suffering turns out to be identical in both cases. When they say the level of suffering turns out to be identical, I want to say that that means that if you don't assist them in suicide, then that means that they suffer, but if you do assist them, then that means that their family suffers to an extent. Because I don't know how they would suffer if they asked to die, and etc. So I'm going to say it is morally, or what I can glean from this is that it's asking uh, if killing somebody who wants to die is the same as just allowing them to die, the action versus inaction, which, no, it's not the same. Because I think it's more a matter of free will in saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to die, I'm not going to take part in allowing you to die. I don't know, this question's kind of confusing me, but I'm going to say no. Again, feedback in the comments is encouraged. Okay. I'm able to help people, but I can only do so by harming other people. The number of people being harmed will always be 10% of those helped. This is utilitarianism. Utilitarianism states that I should always help. It's needs of many outweigh the needs of the few. So, it's, yes, morally justified. I own unoccupied property. I'm contacted by a refugee group who desperately needs somewhere to house a person seeking asylum who's being unjustly persecuted, etc. Anonymity is assured. You have every reason to believe no harm will come to your property. Are you morally obligated to allow them to use your property? I mean, I don't have much to say on this. Yes, because it gives you the premise that you have all your safeties. Nothing will go wrong from it. I think it's just a matter of giving up some of your property for somebody who needs it. A charity. Oh yeah, I love this question. For every amount of money given, for every donation made, a blind person's sight is restored. Instead of donating that money, I use it to buy a cocktail after work. Am I morally responsible for the continued blindness of the person who would have been treated had I made the donation? I want to say, no, I'm not responsible, because I have taken no action in anything happening here. I haven't stolen a donation or anything like that. I haven't performed any sort of action in regards to it. It was just I took my money and didn't donate it. That's the only thing there. If you try to say that this person is responsible for the victim's blindness, then that means that they're responsible for a whole ton of shit in their life. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna say not responsible. He needs a kidney transplant. I'm one of the few people that can provide the kidney. Moral obligation to provide the kidney be greater if the person were a cousin rather than non-relative. This is all personal, so I'm going to say no, it's not greater. I'll say yes, because when I was talking about the brother in the previous question, that was just supporting them no matter what happens, no matter what kind of person they are. In this case, it's just, would you be more willing to provide your kidney to a cousin rather than somebody you don't know? Your cousin is somebody whom you know, and they would do the same for you. I don't know, that kind of thing. I don't have a ton of time to talk about it. Yeah. I can save the lives of 1,000 patients, so I can't. This is the 10% thing. Are your moral obligations to people in your own country stronger than those to people in other countries' communities? This one I'll say no to, because there's no family aspect. It's nationalism is all it is. Somebody's country doesn't determine who they are or their mindsets or anything like that, which is the kind of thing I would value in a person. I don't care about their race, nationality, anything like that, I guess. So I'm going to say no. Yeah, no. I deliberately sabotage a piece of machinery in my workplace so that when somebody next uses it, there will be an accident which will result in that person losing their legs. Am I responsible for their injury? Yes. I'm trying to find the other perspective in it. So, I guess I would say it's some convoluted form of intentionalism versus consequentialism, in that I didn't intend for them to lose their legs. However, the intent was still there to sabotage it, which means, yeah, you're responsible regardless of whether you're an intentionalist or a consequentialist. Keep in mind, I throw around fancy buzzwords like that. I don't have any formal training in philosophy. I just read it now and then. The identity of somebody who has committed a serious crime, or I know their identity, am I obliged to reveal their identity to an appropriate authority figure so that they're showing it? Yeah. I don't see another perspective in that. They're not even asking if it's a family thing, it's just, I think it's just like a baseline question trying to see whether you do it or not. You can save lives of 10%. I guess the 10% questions, there's a subtle difference in them. Like in one of them, you're withholding life from people. In that last one, you're actually killing a person, stuff like that. A charity advertisement newspaper about a person who is in severe need in India. Oh, I see. There is no state welfare. You can help at little cost yourself. It will make a difference. Utilitarianism. I give a little bit so that he gains a lot. Yes. I am required to send a person a gift, and I have bought a bottle of drink to send to them. However, I discover it is poison, and if consumed will cause blindness to the drinker. To replace it with a non-contaminated bottle will cost you $10. This, I'm going to choose the simple answer and say yes, I'm responsible because I had action in it. In this, the spending of $10 is an intervention to correct a past mistake on your part, a past action. Whereas in the other scenario, it's complete charity. In that scenario, it's complete charity in that if you don't do it, you're on neutral ground. But if you do it, then you're up higher. In this case, if you don't correct the mistake, then you're like lower. But if you do correct it, then you're just back to normal. That's how I see it. Responsible. Situation arises where I can either save my own child from death or contact emergency services in order to save the lives of 10 other children. So, keep in mind, in real life, just about everyone's going to save their own child, but this is asking, in my mind, what a person should or shouldn't do, and people don't always follow what they think is just. So I'm going to say 10 other children is what I think is morally proper. You can save the lives of 10 patients by canceling the operation. Information. You own a non-occupied property or contact by welfare organization. Is this the same question? I'm pretty sure it's the same question as that one. Okay, so this is similar to the blindness questions. Like the machinery questions are similar to the blindness questions, I suppose. I'm aware of a piece of machinery. Shouldn't be an accident, legs, despite knowing that nobody else is aware of the fault. You take no action. Are you responsible? So, in the blindness case, anybody can help the blind people. It's an ongoing thing, so it can be reversed at any time, that sort of thing. And if it's a responsibility, if it's everybody's responsibility, so everybody has like a small responsibility to do so. In this case, I am the only person who knows if the machine is faulty. Therefore, in my mind, yes, I'm responsible to do something about it. Yeah. Last question. It's a 10% question. Okay. Okay. Parsimony. I'm gonna have to look that up. Unwillingness to spend money or use resources. I don't think I like having a high score. As parsimonious. Let's assume we are committed to the principle that it is good to reduce suffering. The test of moral parsimony is to see whether this principle is applied simply and without modification or qualification in a number of different circumstances. We find the otherwise identical circumstances, the principles apply directly, basically to identical circumstances, one where you have to pay more than the other. In other words, a high score is subjective moral framework that comprises a minimal number of moral principles that apply across certain circumstances. Any score above 75% should be considered indicative of a parsimonious moral framework. It's not... Oh, my score is like exactly average. Nearly. I have utilized an average number of moral principles in order to make judgments about the scenarios presented in the test. It's not good or bad, it's just a quality. Geographical distance. Oh, I see. I tend to feel a somewhat greater moral obligation towards the people closer to me. Family relatedness. So okay, yeah, it's saying family relatedness is much less significant to me than it is for other people. So I'm more stingy on filial questions. Acts and emissions. Here we go, the blindness and the machinery thing. So yeah, it's just saying the distinction between acting and omitting to act is a relevant factor in my thinking. It's saying that it's high enough that that might not be a factor in my thinking. Scale. My, it was 100 lives. It's just saying in the question where 100 lives for 10,000 lives is different from 10 lives for 1,000 lives, that kind of a thing. Mine is significantly lower than the average. It is an important consideration in autism. Oh, no, I did that wrong. It's saying if one life is more or less important than 10 lives. So it's saying that, yeah, that's like a pretty big deciding factor in my decision. This is just seeing who prefers India or Australia. There's no major difference there, so I'm not going to look at it too much. Question 1. Strongly obliged. People of your religion or lack thereof agree with me. Wouldn't agree. This is just interesting little statistics. I'll stop and look at larger numbers. Only 33% of people think that you should harbor. I'm not gonna say that any view is right or wrong. I'm just being a little pretentious. I'm glad that 93% of people agree on the question 10. Jeez. I don't want to work with that 7%. Etc. No one agrees. I mean, yeah. Yep. That wasn't. I guess this is just kind of like an introduction to the kind of video I'd want to do of this type. There are better ones. I wouldn't say better. There are other ones that are more short and succinct. There are others that go a lot more in depth, stuff like that I would like to get to at some point. And some of them I have a lot stronger opinions on. But for right now, I'll have to leave it like this, just because I'm really tired, and I have stuff to do tomorrow. I have to be up in about 5 hours. So, anyway, I hope you had some semblance of enjoyment in the video, and please leave feedback in the comments. Subscribe if you'd like. See you in the next video.